Coming up, the rich will also cry. The Kazakh Finance Ministry announced plans to introduce a luxury tax. Find out about who will pay for what in our news digest. 30 years of strategic partnership. South Korean ambassador spoke about diplomatic and trade relationship with Kazakhstan in an exclusive interview. The South Korean government will make efforts and focus more on economic cooperation so that the next 30 years of our relationship bring further improvement in the quality of life, progress and growth for the citizens of the two countries. New reality through the eyes of young artists. Kazakh TV correspondent will tell about the unique Meta-Universe exhibition. The procedure for regulation international treaties with countries overseas and international organizations will be changed in Kazakhstan. The upper house of the Kazakh parliament considered and adopted the relevant law today. The document will fill gaps and eliminate conflicts in the legislation. It clearly defines and clarifies the concepts of initialing, international treaty making, signing and powers. The new law is aimed at removing administrative barriers. For example, now there is no need to give the president or other officials additional powers when signing international treaties. International agreements signed by Kazakhstan should be constantly revised and improved. The bill under consideration today is designed for this purpose. The document is aimed at bringing the rules of international treaty law in line with the Vienna Convention, as well as at eliminating existing conflicts. The European Bank for Reconstruction and Development invested almost $690 million in Uzbekistan in 2021. These funds were directed to the implementation of 22 projects in the fields of renewable energy sources, green lending, modernization of key infrastructure, and small businesses. The most populous country in Central Asia has been receiving financial assistance for the second year running. This is reported by the Youth Daily portal. In total, the EBRD has financed 106 projects in Uzbekistan worth over €2.85 billion. Turkmenistan will expand gas export routes. According to Central Asia News, the country's president stressed that the priority tasks in this direction include strengthening ties with transit states of Turkmenistan's gas, as well as the implementation of the Turkmenistan-Afghanistan-Pakistan-India gas pipeline project. Gurbanguly Berdimuhamedov also noted that the country is gradually strengthening its status as a global energy power. In January, the agreement on Turkmen gas supplies from Iran to Azerbaijan came into force. Thus, the Central Asian country will export 1.5–2 billion cubic meters of gas annually. In the spring, a delegation of entrepreneurs of the Association of Eurasian Economic Relations will arrive in Kyrgyzstan on a visit. According to the press service of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the parties intend to discuss issues on attracting investments and opening new production sites. The event was attended by Turkish businessmen implementing projects in the field of agriculture, processing industry, energy, transport, trade and tourism. $7,656 new cases of the coronavirus infection were detected in Kazakhstan in the past day. The city of Almaty again registered the highest single-day case count. 1,549 people caught the infection there. Karaganda region came next with 1,201 reported cases. Nur-Sultan took the third place, where 907 patients tested positive for COVID-19. Since the beginning of the pandemic, the number of coronavirus cases in the country has exceeded 1,253,000. Almost 127,000 Kazakh residents continue to receive treatment for COVID-19, Kazakh Health Ministry reported. More than 10,000 out of them are in hospitals. Over 8,785,000 people in Kazakhstan have been fully vaccinated with two components to date. There is no evidence of the effectiveness of lockdowns in suppressing the spread of the coronavirus. This statement was made by Johns Hopkins University scientists after studying the research results. According to the data, measures to combat coronavirus during the first wave of COVID-19 in Europe and the United States contributed to a decrease in mortality by only 0.2%. At the same time, the introduction of a self-isolation regime led to a reduction in the death toll by only about 3%. The authors concluded that the introduction of strict quarantine practically does not affect the health of the population but leads to huge economic and social losses. Another anti-record for the incidence of coronavirus has been hit in Russia. During the day, almost 142,000 new cases were detected. These are the highest figures since the beginning of the pandemic. In Moscow, almost 24,000 new patients are registered per day. Of these, 7% needed hospitalization. The total number of infected in Moscow is 2,400,000 people. Despite the record rates of morbidity and the further rapid spread of Omicron, the Russian authorities do not plan to introduce lockdown or other emergency measures. Since February 1st, vaccination of adolescents has started in a number of regions of the country. Children under the age of 18 are vaccinated with the permission of their parents.
Некоторые страны Европы уже объявляют четвертую бустерную.
Some European countries are already announcing a fourth booster vaccination. Many of us have made one or two components, and it has been a considerable time they are not vaccinated, they are not doing the booster. And this is necessary in order to reduce the risks of a more severe course of the disease and hospitalization for this and subsequent SARS-CoV-2 mutations. The sale of fake passports is gaining momentum in Germany. On the black market, it can cost up to 300 euros. Corona skeptics most often buy them through online platforms. Experts believe that people have become more active in buying fake certificates because of the restrictions in force. In Germany, unvaccinated people are banned from attending sporting matches and most cultural venues. Meanwhile, the police remind us that falsifying of a document in the country is strictly punishable by law. A total of more than 12,000 cases are currently being investigated by the Public Prosecutor's Office.
Dass ich da nicht ins Detail gehen werde, welche Strategien wir hier haben.
I can't tell you about our fighting strategy. It is a secret, but I can give you some examples. The police monitor the internet space in search of ads. We also receive tips from citizens. We also work closely with clinics and sometimes receive information about suspicious vaccination passports, and then we check all cases. I want to give some advice. If you have been vaccinated, don't post your passports on social media. Fraudsters follow such posts and can use your personal details, signatures as a template for making fakes.
Leute gefälschte oder vermeintlich gefälschte Impfausweise in der Apotheke vor.
The OPEC Plus countries have decided to increase the current level of oil production by 400,000 barrels per day. This decision was made in accordance with the cartel's previous plans, as well as taking into account market conditions and forecasts. The quota for Kazakhstan has also been increased. For example, in January and February, it comprises 1.572 and 1.589 million barrels per day, respectively. And for March, it will be 1.605 million barrels per day. The next OPEC Plus meeting will be held on March 2nd. It should be noted that on the background of cartel's decision, Brent oil price exceeded $90 per barrel, updating the maximum for 7 years. Kazakh Ministry of Finance announced plans to introduce a luxury tax. In particular, according to the press service of the relevant department, it is proposed to consider the introduction of an increased coefficient for luxury cars. At the same time, all benefits regarding such models can be excluded. It is also planned to include certain aircraft, yachts, and real estate in cities of national significance, regional centers, resort areas as luxury items. In addition, apartments with an area of more than 300 square meters, as well as residential and country houses with an area of more than 400 square meters will be subject to increased tax. Kazakhstan and South Korea are celebrating 30 years of diplomatic relations. During this period, the countries were able to increase trade and strengthen the mutually beneficial partnership. Kazakhstan remains the #1 investment destination in the Central Asian region for South Korea. Today, South Korea has invested $4 billion in the country's economy. In addition to building capacity in traditional sectors of the economy, the countries intend to implement cooperation in such areas as IT, biomedicine, and smart farms.
특히 최근에 전 세계적으로 화두가 되고 있는
The past 30 years of our relationship are important, but the next 30 years of our cooperation are also of particular importance. Therefore, the South Korean government will make efforts and focus more on economic cooperation so that the next 30 years of our relationship bring further improvement in the quality of life, progress and growth for the citizens of the two countries.
카자흐스탄으로부터 수입하고 있습니다. 하지만 우리는 다음 세대
According to the ambassador, another important factor is the partnership in the sphere of culture. The parties have officially declared 2022 the year of cultural exchange. They plan to hold various celebrations. Kazakhstan is a country where art, opera and ballet are at a high level. This year it is planned to invite famous Korean opera singer Choi Soo-mi to Kazakhstan to organize a joint concert of classical music together with Kazakh musicians. I would also like to stress that it is planned to hold exhibitions of works by famous Korean artists.
양국 관계를 한층 더 격상시키기
In addition, the Embassy of South Korea has prepared a series of events for Kazakhstan residents, among them contests of Korean pop music, national dishes, as well as an exhibition of comics. Kazakhstan ranks 30th in terms of satellites operating in Earth's orbit. In total, our country has 6 spacecrafts, 2 communications and broadcasting satellites, 2 more for remote sensing, and 2 for scientific and technological purposes. A research group from Duosoft provided such data. In total, there are 4,550 active spacecraft in near-Earth orbit. In terms of the total number of satellites, the United States leads with 2,804. China is in the second place with 467 spacecrafts, and the United Kingdom is third. The United Kingdom has 349 satellites. On the fourth, Russia, which has 168 spacecraft. 75 countries of the world have 1 satellite each. Myth and modernity of the Kazakh people in digital painting. The first personal exposition of Almaty resident Janar Yerlankızı opened in Paris. The artist presented the main legends of the country of the great step in her style of fairy tale illustrations. She gets her inspiration to create works from the research of famous historian and linguist Serek Bolkondabay. The artist delicately combines in the paintings the historical past with the present. The French public liked this kind of digital art.
Ему очень понравилось, мне кажется, еще мифологический.
They liked, I think, the myth part because there is still a child in each of us. We all love to fantasize, look at pictures and see what we want to see. Therefore, I saw that many people were spending their time in the myth part, and also because I wrote a booklet with explanations of the paintings, it seems to me that it was convenient for them to come closer and touch.
С объяснениями картин, и мне кажется, им было удобно, что они могли читать про картину и также смотреть близко. Подходить, трогать.
A new reality and the multiverse through the eyes of artists. A unique exhibition opened at the Kulanshi Contemporary Art Center in the capital of Kazakhstan. The exposition brought together works by absolutely different young authors. 9 artists presented about 100 works, paintings, graphic sculptures made in various methods with their original style and attitude to life. Completely different works unite philosophical questions about the meta-universe, parallel reality, and routine everyday life of modern society. New names and the new approaches, according to the organizers of the exhibition and the artists themselves, make it possible to reveal the world of art from another still unknown side. I convey through the canvas what I observe in everyday life. Mainly my drawings cover the themes that excite me the most: family values, warmth, care, love.
Бұл әйелі бейнесіне арналған. Негізі менің ойым, ол әр әйелдің.
This picture is dedicated to the image of a woman. My main idea is to convey how happy she can be, and most importantly, preserve this happiness. In my works, I wanted to show the character, fate, and mood of the woman.
Тағдыры, жан күйі, соларды көрсеткім келді.